Hey everyone, today we're looking at 5 more unsolved mysteries in Dead by Daylight. Okay, so starting off, we have the question of who is and where is Vigo? Vigo is a character that has been in the lore for a while now, and he's a character who's supposedly escaped the realm. You've probably seen his name around in-game, in items like Vigo's Shroud, Vigo's Blueprint, or his Jar of Salty Lips that appears as a luck offering. There are many outfits in-game that also reference Vigo. Vigo's Apprentice for Dwight, Vigo's Pupil for Claudette, Vigo's Marauder for Jake, and Vigo's Disciple for Nia. Then there's also a bunch of other Survivor cosmetics that reference Vigo, all with the connecting theme of them being covered in this orange, blight-looking substance. Some of the cosmetics in their flavor text seem to account the survivors finding Vigo's lab, which is hidden somewhere in the realm. There are references in the rainbow map and the engineer's toolbox to Vigo creating better versions of the in-game items, but them being stolen and replaced with the less effective versions we have in-game by the Fog or the Entity. This is pretty interesting, as Vigo is also apparently the character who created the hatch, so these magical creations are possibly how Vigo escaped the realm. In Arcus 632, the Observer sees a memory of Vigo. Through a rift, I believe I culled another memory of Vigo, manifesting reality within the Entity, with something reminiscent of the Orus. How he came to understand the machinations of the Fog is both puzzling and inspiring. It suggests to me that perhaps this place enhances one's connection to our infinite selves through the Omniverse. My first theory to who Vigo is he someone close to the character of the Blight, as the Blight appeared a bit like the survivors who have investigated Vigo's lab in the realm. In Blight's add-ons we can see he has things referencing Vigo, such as the Vigo's Journal add-on. This add-on is particularly interesting as its flavor text reads, "In a wasteland of forgotten dreams and endless routine, the man with a way out is God." And it's Talbot Grimes who says this, or the Blight. This suggests that Vigo has actually escaped the realm, and the Blight allowed him to do it. As in the substance, not the person, and is why Talbot was investigating his laboratory. Potentially Talbot even witnessed Vigo escape somehow. I believe it's possible that Vigo is potentially like a good version of the Blight, someone who has managed to study and harness the Blight without going as far as the Blight, where it became an obsession that overtakes him. As the killer side has the Blight, the survivor side has Vigo. So who he is unclear, but where he is, well, he's probably escaped the realm, although even that is unclear, because we haven't witnessed or been told it ourselves. It's all been accounted through different people. But hey, it's probably the case. He probably actually has escaped. Okay, now on to the pretty interesting question of how does time work in the Entity's realm? This one is super interesting, I think. I always see a lot of theorizing about how long the characters have been in the realm, or how long they perceive they've been in the realm. It's unclear whether Megsay has been in the realm for around 5 years, as she first appeared in 2016, or if she's actually been there for 30 years or 1,000. Or maybe for her, it feels like she just arrived. One interesting feature that Dead by Daylight had early on was Benedict Baker's journal and the quotations from it. In the journal, all entries were stated to be during November of 1896. Personally, I never understood this date, because Benedict is supposedly taken into the realm after investigating the town of Weeks, which is stated to happen in the summer of 1956. This suggests to me that Benedict, whilst in the realm, has managed to discover the time, or a date of some kind, and that date is November 1896. But however long he waits, that date always remains the same. I think a bit like how the realm is made up of lots of different pockets, the way time works is also in this same pocketed fashion, and so it's always sitting in this same November 1896 pocket on an infinite time loop, a bit like how the trials are infinite and repetitive. The devs have already stated that time in the realm is very weird and doesn't make much sense. I believe it was around the time the Plague or the Oni was introduced. They mentioned that just because a character came from ancient Babylon or the Edo period, this doesn't mean they arrived before the modern day characters. So a character like Dwight, say, canonically arrived in the realm before the Plague, who came from far further in the past. Time in the realm seems non-linear. What is interesting though, is it doesn't seem like we've had anything happen in the future yet. I've seen a few arguments for characters like Yui, Yunjin, or the Trickster's story being set in the near future due to the bright neon environments and cities, but personally I don't think there has been anything yet. At least there seems to have been no direct date in the future. This maybe suggests that the Entity can reach into any point in time, but is still restricted by its own time and cannot reach into the future, only only the past. Which, hey, doesn't solve the question of how does time work, but it's certainly interesting that it can't break that future barrier. Next up, who is and where is the Observer? Now, this is a question that isn't currently solved, but is one I believe will eventually be explained within the lore. If you didn't know, the Observer is a guy within the realm that lives in a spooky tower surrounded by fog and can see into the memories of survivors and killers with use of this thing called an Oris, which peers into the fog. He's the character we experience all the tome lore through. Despite him having the most amount of lore, or the most amount of lore from his perspective, we barely know anything about who he is and where he is within the realm. We do know a few things. We know he is from the universe or world known as Terra Primus. We know he or his people were in search of the entity prior to him arriving in the realm. We also know that our Observer is not the first Observer, but there's been a bunch of Observers. Hey, maybe Benedict could have even been one of these past Observers. Finally, our current Observer often claims to be a prisoner, and trapped within his tower by the fog. The easier question between where and who he is where he is. It's pretty likely that the Observer's tower is simply in one of the many different sub-realms or pockets within the broader realm. The question is though, why can't the entity just kill the Observer if he's literally within its realm somewhere? Because we know the entity does want to kill the Observer. The fog is even outside the Observer's tower, and the fog often represents the entity, so why can't it just reach in and get him? It seems there is some kind of magical or protective quality to the tower, possibly another one of Vigo's creations, who knows? For who the Observer is, I'm of the belief that he is someone in relation to someone else, if that makes sense. I think he's Felix's father personally. They both hold a resemblance, and we know that Felix's parents were also taken or killed by the entity and fought it with magical tools. The Observer looks kinda like him, is in the realm, and has the magical Oris, which is a kind of tool. The reason for the Observer not knowing who Felix is could be due to the memory loss that many suffer upon entering the realm. Let me know what you think of this one. Okay, so this is a question that I've seen in a few recent videos. Why doesn't the entity just take loads of people? So, the realm is powered off of emotions, so why not just bring in a couple thousand people instead of the 50 odd that we currently have? I think this is a completely fair question to ask. If the realm is powered by emotion and humans are a good source of it, why not just bundle in as many people the entity can get into the trials? I have two main explanations for this one. First off, the survivors and killers in the realm are very carefully selected, it seems. The entity doesn't just take anyone in. This can be evidenced by it initially planning to take Evan, or the trapper's father, Archie, instead, but changing its mind when seeing more potential in Evan. Same with Rin or the spirit, it wanted her father initially, but changed its mind, or choice at the last moment. We also know that in most cases, before a character is taken, they are almost stalked by the entity for a good while before the entity makes a move. For characters like Nurse, Wraith, Artist, or Trapper, to name a few, the entity appears to watch over their lives for a good decade or few decades before it actually takes them. There could easily be even more people the entity has watched and whispered to, but has never taken, because they don't meet a certain criteria. I think this caution shows that the choices the entity does make are important, and everyone in the realm is suited specifically to powering the realm in a unique way. No character there is a rushed pick, as it were. The only case where it maybe was a rushed pick was with Rin, but maybe there was such great potential there, and so little time before she died, that the entity simply had to take her in that moment. My other direction for this is that the entity takes so long and takes so few because it needs to be careful of those attempting to find and hunt it. The Imperiati, the Pariahs, Hadi, Talbot, who succeeded. There's a bunch of people who want to get into the realm or destroy it, so maybe it's a risk factor thing too. Sure, the entity is powerful, but we can assume if the trials are disrupted in any way, it has an effect on it. If it has to go off or fight off a bunch of people trying to destroy it, it's more energy being used, and a greater likelihood it's found by people attempting to find it. It doesn't take long, for example, for the Pariahs to locate a bunch of different entity happenings, so it has to stay sneaky enough as to not make the few that have seen it take someone be believed by a wider group. That's my thoughts at least. Let me know what you think too. My final question is a bit of a weird one, but I think it's cool, so whatever. What are updates to the realm? By this I mean, what exactly is happening to the realm when an update is released to the game? For example, some of the bigger ones being the Realm Beyond updates, that completely change the visuals and layouts of some maps. Sure, this can be written off as just being a gameplay thing, which is totally the case, but I thought it'd be fun to theorize about what these updates are within the the universe itself. I kinda like the idea that with each survivor or killer the entity takes, the more powerful it grows, and so the realm itself adapts with it. So for each Realm Beyond update, the entity was growing in power, gaining more detail, more materials, and generally just a higher quality version of its realm. I think it's interesting to apply this to perks like boon perks too. The idea that the entity had to wait for a while before introducing boons as it needed the realm to be more stable, or it needed to be more powerful to sustain them. We can also possibly attribute different happenings like Hawkins being removed as a result of the entity becoming overwhelmed after Pinhead and Michaela came to the realm. Two powerful characters who it found very hard to sustain possibly. I realize this one isn't even meant to have an in-universe reasoning, but I think it's cool to theorize regardless about how and why the realm adapts and changes in-universe. Yep, this is my silly unanswerable one, like the entity one last time. Alright, well that's gonna do it. I do hope you enjoyed, and be sure to drop your own thoughts on this down below. Thanks, and goodbye.